3 things to keep in mind. Your launch is not an event. It's not the day you take pictures. It's not the day you do PR. Your launch actually is a plan that goes on for 30, 60, 90, in some cases 180 days.
It's actually a phase, right? There is the part of it where you communicate your value proposition. That's actually what I would say the launch day is. You cannot say you've acquired a user when someone downloads the app. They actually become a user when they perform their first transaction and it was successful. I can bet you, Lola, that a lot of founders with tech, focused businesses, that's probably one of the first questions they see on Instagram.
Yeah.
Where is your office?
Where are you located?
Your first set of staff are not the fancy office workers. They are the legwork, boots on ground, sales agents that go into the market to physically test out demo the product and onboard, your users.
Somebody has sleep apnea, for example. Don't be advertising to them 10 a.m. They're just waking up.
Yes.
Advertise to them in the evening.
Correct.
When they're thinking about sleep,
Correct.
when they're sort of
Correct.
winding down.
And your conversation is not, oh, we help you sleep better. No.
Yeah.
It is, we know that your lack of sleep is ruining your productivity.
At work.
The person
or
says,
whatever
yes, I'm
else.
always tired in the morning.
Yeah.
This is why you need this product.
We are operating in a market where trust is built face-to-face, but our product is digital. When should founders bring in agents or offline distribution, and how early is too early?
If you're B2B, for example, your B2B are small businesses within market spaces, say Alaba Market or Oshodi Market, or you're not going to put out an Instagram ad and expect, the guy who's selling refrigerators, in the market. No, you're going to come to his shop and show that you have an understanding of his business, and pitch him and nurture him. Basically, by coming every 2 days.
There's so many apps. The apps that should not exist.
Exactly. I agree with you. There are apps sometimes that should be a WhatsApp group. And when the question says, how early is too early? Zero.
Welcome to Periscope, the podcast that allows founders see what they may not already know. We are here to discuss the real deal. I would have conversations across a range of topics, from technology, marketing, finance, fundraising, compliance, you name it. This is where you're going to hear all about it. We are discussing key marketing topic today, and I can't wait to get started. The topic of our episode today is not just a launch, a strategy. My name is Lola, and I am the host of your show today. With me is
Olajumoke.
Olajumoke, it's great to have you on this episode.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Because in the marketing space, you're the guys driving the launch, right?
Correct.
You're the guys planning the launch event, the launch day, but we all know that the launch event is not the launch.
The launch event definitely is not the launch. I see founders often pace themselves into different, what we like to call sprints, like agile project management. You say sprints, right? In their heads, the day they announce or the day the app goes live,
That's launch.
That's launch. And they say we've launched, and then they do a PR run, we've launched,
They take photos.
Yes, we do, those founder t-shirts and
then with
two
the
founders, they're like co-founders. And they say we've launched. That is not your launch.
Yeah.
That's a part of the launch.
The
The
launch.
launch is actually a phase. It's not an event. It's a period of time within which you need to determine your success on a few metrics. So it's not just adoption. It's not just live. It's live. It's adoption. It's the early signs of stickiness.
Retention.
Yes.
Early signs.
Early
Right.
signs of stickiness.
Yes, that this thing actually has PMF.
Exactly.
Product marketing.
Exactly. So your launch can be anytime between 90 days to 180 days. So it's a whole period.
It's
a
not
phase.
a day.
It's not a day.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And I don't know why founders feel that day is it, when really it's not. There's still a lot of work to do post that day. I wonder if it's an investor, pressure as well.
It is. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's also, you find that there is really no plan beyond, like I said, sprint planning in their heads, that's one huge milestone. Now it has launched. in their heads, it's now available. People should just, it just now runs on its own.
Yes. Hey, and the work is just getting started.
Oh, it is just getting started. So now they feel like we've done the hard work.
Yeah.
It's
we
live.
Built it.
Let's
now
just
go and
chill
use it.
And watch the bottom line stuff.
And they would
come.
But they don't always come.
No, they don't always come. You have to, your launch is part of ensuring that they find you, they use you, and the launch is a second beta phase as far as as far as I'm concerned, because beyond the actual beta phase where you had the first few users use it, this is your first exposure to mass usage, right? You want to learn, still iterate. Your launch is still an iteration phase.
Before you go and do PR and
before you do PR.
Exactly.
So you're correct. So I would actually like to see, the first time I see you on Tech About should be 6 months after the product went live.
Yes.
Now I have something to talk about.
That's
now
right.
my product is sticky.
It's not simply that we've gone live.
Now I've retained users.
And
now people have on board.
Plan. Your launch itself is not the strategy, right?
Correct.
There has to be a plan.
There has to be
post that launch period.
Post the event, yes.
What happens next? You have to keep momentum going.
Correct.
You have to keep customer engagement going as well.
Correct. You have to monitor behavior closely
and
to see that. And learn from that. And iterate quickly. You're still making tweaks.
That's right.
To your product to ensure that users are actually using it the way you thought they would. And if that's not the case, what do you want to do about that?
What you sometimes also see is founders spend months preparing for this launch, right? And then just stop it. Versus the opposite, which is launch quickly, like go live,
because it's
do it quickly, and then plan for what happens post that.
Correct. Launch your minimum viable product, and even the definition of that varies from founder to founder. You know what a minimum viable product is. Launch the minimum viable product and enter a launch phase where you are validating and revalidating now your solution actually meets the problem.
Amazing. We have to discuss how marketing will truly help you fast track that launch period and make sure that it's as effective as possible.
And what kind of metrics you need to measure for you to say our launch was successful.
There's so much to unpack on this topic.
Yes.
What would be the summary that you would want to give the audience watching?
Oh, for sure. So the summary for today's episode would be, what if your launch was not just an event? What if your launch is actually a long-term strategy spanning up to 180 days post-release of your product? And we're going to be looking at this topic very in depth in this episode.
I can't wait to deep dive into this topic with you, Olajumoke.
Me too.
Let's go. The topic that we're discussing today, Olajumoke, as you know, is not just a launch, a strategy. Founders need to have a strategy around their product go-to-market.
Correct.
But before we even deep dive too much into that topic, I think there's some terminology that founders should be comfortable with and familiar with.
Yes.
We hear GTM all the time. What does that actually mean, go to market, right? So let's just start with a few common terms from a marketing perspective that founders should be completely familiar with.
Yes, of course. Because you need to know the lingo.
Yes.
You need to know the lingo
completely.
To be able to put a strategy, around it. So yes, you are correct. So I think first I'll start with, what you've said, GTM. You heard GTM. The full meaning of that is go to market, right? Go to market. And it's just as it says, go to market. It's the strategy that takes your solution that you've built. Hopefully you've built a solution to an actual need in the market. It's a strategy by which you take that solution to the market.
To your users.
Yes, to your users. And that strategy is not just a strategy that stops at the day when the product is live or the users start using it. No, it's a strategy that spans a period of time from when it is live to when you see actual adoption and to when you can actually see your first cohort retention data.
Cohort retention.
And then those are terms as well.
Yes. Think about how they think through their cohorts.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what is a cohort? Really, a cohort is, and you can define a cohort differently depending on what kind of business or what kind of startup you're running. But ideally, a cohort is a very closed group of users or customers or adopters that have adopted your product or service or within a period of time. So
and also based off of their behavior,
based
also,
off
so
of
you
it, yes.
can slice your cohort based off of time.
Yes, based off
or
of time or behavior, yes.
or other demographics.
You can only get behavioral cohorts after a period of time because you need to observe the behavior and then rethink your cohort. But at the point, your cohorts rather, but at the point, or resegment your cohorts. At the point when you launch, it's a period of time. It's your, say when you launch in March, you know, your first cohorts are your early users, your March early adopters. And then say after a 90-day period, you can then look at that initial cohort and resegment them.
And see how their behavior may have changed
over that period of
back.
time. Exactly.
For example,
how can they come back? What does onboarding look like?
What features do they use within your product?
How did they behave after they downloaded the app, for example? What was the time between download, onboarding, and first usage? Because, so I'll give you an example what usage looks like. For a fintech app, for example, you cannot say you've acquired a user when someone downloads the app. You had an app download when someone downloads the app. When they onboard, meaning submit registration documents, their BVN, whatever it is that you need, that's another behavior. They actually become a user when they perform their first transaction and it was successful. That's when you have a user.
And then you actually also then have 7-day active users.
Correct.
30-day active users.
Correct.
So
and then they come back.
Exactly. Yeah, you measure your usage is also quite
correct.
So there's a lot of science.
There is a lot of science.
Founders often don't think through as they design their go-to-market launch plan.
And all of these are metrics that need to be included as part of your go-to-market strategy. These are metrics that you measure after the period of time you've determined is your go-to-market period to determine if your launch was successful or not. So, yes, so
and
that's how you look.
Founders think about retention, because retention also depends on the product, right? In some cases, you want them to come back every day. If it's social media, for example,
you're measuring daily active users.
You're measuring daily actives. But in other products, it's a much longer usage period, right? So, for example, you may not necessarily buy a ticket every day, right? I mean, you work in the travel space, you understand, you know, the cycle through which customers make those purchases.
Yes.
So you don't buy an airline ticket every day or even every 7 days. So then your retention and the period through which you're measuring that will vary based off of the sector you're in, the products you're in, and so on. So let's hear more about how users should think about the right time period for their own product to define retention.
Correct. So there's, different kinds of startups, right? There's startups that address individual consumer needs, the B2C focused type startups, and there's the B2B. As you know, even within the B2C, even though so there's this assumption that especially when you have an app, and I'm using app because it's one of the most, prevalent products.
There's so many apps.
You know, there
are apps that should not exist. Exactly.
I agree with you. There are apps sometimes that should be a WhatsApp group. WhatsApp
Not
group.
everything has to have its own separate app,
you know.
the cost of actually getting users to download that app is not trivial.
Marketing an app is a whole different thing entirely, and it's a whole different thing entirely. It's probably a whole episode on its own. But so how should you think about retention for your business? First, it depends on. Remember, one thing we want to understand fully is not just the need, but the behavior of our users around our product. So let's take travel, for example. There are different kinds of travelers.
That's right.
Right? There are different types of travelers.
There are business travelers.
Yes, who travel more often than leisure travelers. They are students,
that are going back to school.
Yes, so back to that cohort conversation. In the first, say, 30 days of the launch of your travel app or your travel startup, right, you would find a lot of curiosity first. People are looking at different routes, trying to understand, trying to familiarize themselves with, your app or the product,
with the
right?
product.
You find that, so understanding behavior also tells you that how long before an actual flight do people look to start booking.
And that's a good point you had mentioned, right? Is when you even just launch, you may see a lot of activity.
Yes.
Don't confuse that for sticky users.
No.
They're just curious.
No.
They're testing.
Yes.
They're wondering, how does this thing work? How is
Correct.
it different from my current
How is it different? Exactly.
solution?
Yes.
You've not completely convinced them yet that they
Yes.
should stick with you. You've
Correct.
not convinced them that they should take a look, essentially.
So I'm going to say something. A big part of GTM is convincing your user to ditch whatever way they are currently solving their problem. Because the truth is, they are solving their problem
In
one
one way
way.
or the other.
You've not, as much as founders like to believe their product is novel, they say it's a blue ocean, nobody is doing it. Nobody might be doing it the way you're doing it, but your users are solving that problem one way
or the other.
already.
Even
So
if it's AI, right?
even
Because
if
we
it's
all think
AI.
AI is new and all, but frankly, we were searching, we were
yes,
finding information
we were
in
searching.
other ways.
Yes, we were
Maybe
searching.
there's a better way to do
Correct.
it and a more novel,
Maybe a more intuitive way to do it, but
intuitive,
we were doing it.
get the content in an organized, structured manner, but we were doing it.
Correct. So your GTM is really an effort to get your users to ditch how they are currently solving their problem, which, bear in mind, it's already kind of native to them. They are
Right.
used to solve. You are encouraging a behavior change,
Right.
essentially. So, you're basically telling them to ditch a behavior that's probably second nature to them already and come use you. Where there's a learning curve, I need to know, what this is about. There's trust. African users generally hold trust offline. Something they can see, they can feel, they can touch. So
That's why
you're even
payment on delivery
yes,
is what
you're even
works
in a bit more
here.
trouble in an industry where you are competing against brick and mortar. If the way I'd solve my problem was to physically go to a travel agency, you're now telling me I could do that on my phone and pay 3.5 million naira.
A lot of money without seeing you, knowing you. Where's your customer support? Where's the office?
Where's your office? That's the. I can bet you, Lola, there are a lot of founders with tech, focused businesses. That's probably one of the first questions they see on Instagram.
Yeah.
Where is your office?
Where are you located?
And then you say, well, we're in the cloud, on an app,
we're virtual,
online,
we're
and then you
remote.
probably
No, not with my 3 million naira.
No, not with my 3 million. Who can I hold?
Yeah.
And they ask, what's your name? The
And it's a very fair concern, right? Because we've also seen situations where people have lost
Correct.
funds, they've lost money,
Correct.
they've lost a lot of of their savings because of that lack of connection.
Trust. So what we said basically is your GTM strategy. Let me tell you the everything that needs to be in that strategy. What you call launch is actually a phase, right? There is the part of it where you communicate your value proposition. That's actually what I would say the launch day is. The launch day is not the
day you have the party.
The day you have the party. No.
You have the photo shoot, you have PR.
It's the day you officially introduce your solution to your users, right? Then you have to immediately start to build trust. So however it is they're solving that problem that you've built a solution for currently, you have to convince them within a very short period of time. For some businesses, it's 7 days. You have 7 days from the time when you launch to when I start exploring your app for me to actually take the next step, which is maybe sign up.
And for that, you have to know the user behavior.
Correct.
Right?
You have to be on that product, understanding via heat maps, whatever other relevant tools you find relevant to your
So
business.
what types of tools do you think founders can use to begin to understand that user behavior at that early stage that can help them as they think through their go-to-market plan strategy?
Okay, so there are different tools relevant to different parts, of the go-to-market strategy. When you think about acquisition, for example, because there's the acquisition, there's the usage, and then there's the retention, because you need to also see early retention. So when you acquire your users, I think it's important to see how they behave on the platform, that you've built.
What features are they going to?
What features are they
How
going to? So
interacting
there
with
are
it?
heat mapping tools that I would recommend, like Hotjar,
Hotjar.
for example. Yes, it's one good one that you could use. You need to see how what the customer journey or the user journey is like on your platform. Is it
What did they go
similar
to first? What did they go to next?
Yes, where are the sticky points? Where are the bottlenecks? As simple as it is, or as common as it is, I would say you use your analytics very heavily. If you have a web-based product, you also want to be able to properly map friction points where you think, so if payments, for example, is supposed to be consummated on your platform, what does that look like?
Where do they get stuck?
Where do they get stuck? What are you seeing with terms, with regards to pages where people drop off? You also want to understand metrics like, your bounce rate. Where do you have problems? So you want to monitor your users on your platform. You want to follow them around. You want to drop off features, for example, that are there, but are not within the first, say, 30 days.
No one is clicking on.
No one is clicking on.
You're spending resources to build.
You're spending resources on it,
features.
and it's a distraction. It starts to constitute a distraction at a
You want
point
to
in
keep
time.
the product simple and focused on features that users truly want and engage with.
There is no benefit to building a super app or a super product that can do many things, but people only use for one thing.
And we know some of those super apps.
Yes, we do. So maybe you need to drill down on the one thing. So you want to use tools like that, like Hotjar, to understand their behavior. And I'm going to say this, it sounds very non-technical, but you want to talk to your customers. Yes.
One of them to do a lot more of that.
Yes, a lot more of that.
Hear more from your users.
Yes, hear more from your users.
What do they like about it? What do they not like about it?
You need to talk to them. Not, when we say talk to them, actually talk to them.
Have a conversation. Pick up the phone.
Yes, pick up the phone.
Street, go to the market and have that. Literally go to market.
Literally go to market. Don't do, I like focus groups.
Yeah.
Focus groups gives you contextual information. However, focus groups can tend to have people tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
It's hard to
It's also not natural, right? Because you organize them in a room.
And then you give them food and drinks. Yes, you give them food and drinks.
You're paying them in some cases.
Correct.
So you're paying them all the amazing things that you want to hear.
Correct. So you want to actually talk to them. So go to market.
Yeah.
If your product is a B2B SaaS, for example, you want to actually talk to. I remember I was in a conversation with the Antler cohort. We had a conversation with one of the founders who came to speak to us, and he said one thing they would do is that they actually built features on their app based on the feedback they got from one of their should I say, biggest corporate users. So the user would come to you and say, look, this thing you built doesn't work this way. This is how I need it to work.
You have to find the right balance.
You have to
because
find
if
the
you
right
have
balance.
lots of customers, you can't build features for every single person that's asking.
Correct. You need to filter.
The whole thing just doesn't work.
So yes, talk to your customers. I think it's important. In your go-to-market phase, that's one of the most important things, is actually get close to the customer, understand how they use observe them use the product, and observe them use the product both in front of you, have them give you feedback on what works, ensure that you are actually, they're using you, and I'll say something, sometimes users, they use our products in ways that we did not intend.
That's right, or that we did not even expect.
But in ways that actually solves their problem.
Yeah.
So your product solves the problem, but not in the way you thought it would. So you find sometimes that they would use your product, but still use one of the ways they're used to solving their problem. Say, for example, there's a WhatsApp leg to the solution, to their behavior, right? You would find that they would still go to WhatsApp, start that thing on WhatsApp, then come back to your product. So do you want to integrate WhatsApp?
Just do it direct. That actually happens a lot, right? So there are lots of platforms that have online payments integrated, but a lot of us will still go to WhatsApp and ping the customer support and say, hey, I'm 100%. Looking to pay, send me the account details.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
So I go to a platform, and I'm supposed to consummate the transaction on that platform. But then once I see a floating WhatsApp button,
you click that button.
I want to talk to somebody.
And
then I ask the person, can you help me do that? And the person says yes, because I don't want to risk, having
something
a problem
going wrong, money is hanging, you're not having to chase the bank. So
definitely don't want that. Observe how they use it. Observe where the bottlenecks are, where the kinks are, and actually talk to them.
So this is all part of the launch plan?
This is all part of the launch plan. Strategy. You cannot have had a successful launch if you've not spoken to the first adopters of your product. and integrated their feedback into your product.
Before you go live.
Yes.
So guys, we've learned several key things in this conversation. 3 things to keep in mind. Your launch is not an event. It's not the day you take pictures. It's not the day you do PR. Your launch actually is a plan that goes on for 30, 60, 90, in some cases 180 days.
Right.
And as part of that process, number 2, you have to engage with your customers. You have to know what they're doing on your site, where they're going, what features are popular, what features are not, and then reiterate your build, reiterate your platform to align with the way your customers actually are engaging with your platform.
Correct.
And 3, there are lots of tools that you can use, right? Make sure you are measuring. You're measuring at the adoption phase, you're measuring at the usage phase, you're measuring at the retention phase. And then several tools that we'll touch on. Jumoke had mentioned one,
Yes.
Hotjar.
Hotjar.
There are a couple more probably should also
there's
educate our
analytics.
users
Analytics
on.
is very basic but very effective.
So Google Analytics
Oh,
is
yes.
what you would, okay.
Oh, yes.
Any other tools
Yes, so
founders can use?
for retention, because now you're really looking to understand cohort behavior. Now you understand your users a bit better, and you can resegment, the cohorts.
So let's talk about cohort segmentation. I
Correct.
feel it's an area that founders don't truly spend enough time on.
I agree.
To think about the different users and how best to engage with them based
Correct.
off of the right cohort and segment. So just talk us through that.
Yes. Okay. So this is very important because so when you probably put your strategy together, you had a TAM, SAM, and then a SUM. Right? And then your SUM is not even, if you ask me, it's not your target audience.
Right.
There is still an ICP, right?
Your ideal
customer profile that needs to come out of that SUM. Until you launch, it's a best guess. Until you launch, what you think your ICP is your idea of who you think your users are, who you're building for. Even though you've done that research, you kind of see where the problem is and you've built for it, that GTM process is a revalidation of who you think your ICP is. Who did you think your ICP is?
It might change over time.
Yes, going in.
Yeah.
Who are they actually 180 days after?
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Understanding that is what gives rise to your understanding of what your segmentation should then look like.
Okay.
And your segmentation will change from day 1.
Okay.
By day 180, I should see that it's changed a bit more. So I'll give you an example. First of all, your ICP is not all millennials in Lagos.
Yeah, Gen
Or,
Z. That's too broad.
Young women within the ages of 35 to 40.
50.
No. That's not an ICP. Your ICP would sound like business owners with a revenue base of about, or a monthly revenue of about 20 to 50 million per month, who depend on so to run so kind of business, and who are looking for better ways to do this, that.
Right.
So
define it very clearly.
Very clearly. That's how you go in. So your initial segment, right, is that big cohort. You then resegment within. So you can now have an industry focus going. And remember, we said you are refining this within your GTM phase. So you can then redefine that or resegment and say, businesses, maybe you are now doing that same ICP. You now have within 0 to 6 months of establishment, so very young ones. Maybe you have 9 to 18 months of establishment. You could resegment by location. You could resegment by industry. You could resegment by type of products, and then go in. Immediately you go in. Within the first 7 days,
you start to see who is latching on.
Yes, because you still need to drill down your ICP to a very small. You need to have what you call primary users. Your primary audience within that ICP. You cannot afford to spray and pray.
Yeah.
Right? You can't target everybody.
It's even costing you money.
It is costing you money.
And
yes,
pray.
you can't spray and pray.
Yeah.
So you need to start looking at who your early adopters are within those segments, and then have them as your, should I say, primary cohort.
Right. I need to have conversations with them to actually engage.
And then you call them power users.
Yeah.
These are my power users. You know, while the rest,
back.
yes, they are the ones that come
are
back.
keeping this thing going.
They are the ones reaching out
asking
to the
questions,
asking questions,
giving feedback.
Yes, giving feedback.
You're not fixing this. Why don't you have this video? What's going on here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They are the ones saying, oh, can I have a meeting with one of your customer reps? Yeah. Where's your office? Can we come and visit
come and see you?
They are the ones interested in you. So you call those your power users.
Yeah.
That is the first segment from your resegmentation post our product is now live. So you need to identify who your power users are and then what their demographic profile looks like. So you say, I've noticed that our power users are this, that. So you come up with. And then you have your secondary users. Who are those still within the ICP, but not when you they are should I say touches on your if your product is an app, for example, the number of times you've seen them come back, is not as it's not as heavy as your power users, but heavy enough that they're interested.
Yeah.
This could be users.
Convert them to revenue clients.
Now, not the problem, but the thing with your secondary users are now that it's possible that your solution is good, but there is a concern they have it doesn't fully address.
Okay.
So you want to ask yourself in our V2, like a version 2 of this product, do we want to address what's a common thing with our secondary users that's not making them enter the power users cohort that maybe we can build for, that we can
move them towards primary users.
Towards primary. So I would say that your segmentation should start to lean towards power users, those who power users, yes, and then secondary users, and then you have the rest of the market, yes,
that are more ad hoc.
Yes.
Let's spend some time talking about the different channels through which founders can truly go to market. Because frankly, most of the time we assume it's an Instagram post and you're done or you're live. But we know it's a lot more than that, right? So let's take it in different buckets, right? Your digital, your offline, partnership, etc. Let's just hear your thoughts on how best we should think about structuring our go-to-market across a range of channels, because it can be overwhelming.
Yes,
you do below the line, above the line, social media, paid ads, partnerships, who do you talk to? How do we start to think through that?
I agree. So, interesting question. First of all, do not do everything at the same time. You will spread yourself thin and not really see, because part of what you are validating, there's still a lot of validation happening in the go-to-market phase.
So don't do all the channels at the same time.
No. Decide on a primary channel with which you go to market. Find success there or test it well enough before you layer others on it. And I want to say something. Founders, the sexy way to go to market right now is digital.
It's digital. PR.
It's PR, a big launch.
News platform.
But then you find out that the people you're talking to will say, oh, great product, but they don't use the product. It's very unsexy, but it is very important that founders also use offline. Go to the market.
The issue has always been they feel they can't measure offline, right? So if you're going offline, how to ensure that your effort is measurable and can translate to tangible results that you can attribute back to whatever channel you're going through offline?
Okay, but it is measurable. It's measurable because when we say offline, except you're thinking of some of the mass, media channels like TV, billboards. No. Offline is actually legwork. Agents, working to onboard, physically go and say, look, this thing you're doing this way, this is how you can do it better.
If they convert.
Yes,
and so that's measurable.
Yes, it's having sometimes your biggest marketing expense or your first set of staff are not the fancy office workers. They are the legwork, boots on ground, sales agents that go into the market to physically test out demo the product and onboard, your users. If you're B2B, for example, and your B2B are small businesses within the market spaces, say Alaba market or Shudi market, or you're not going to put out an Instagram ad and expect the guy who's selling refrigerators, in the market. No, you're going to come to his shop and show that you have an understanding of his business and pitch him and nurture him
That's
physically,
right.
by coming every 2 days.
Yes.
To say, so how far did you use it today? Well, I say, yeah, I didn't really understand
this part.
It's
Okay, tell me
unsexy,
why.
but that's how you go to market. That's what you need to do.
Absolutely what you need to do.
Digital channels are there, yes, and digital channels not. So let's segment them. There's brand.
Yes.
There is, brand. We're building our reputation. Then there's actual performance marketing.
Yeah.
Right. So performance marketing, you are thinking.
That's digital marketing. When you say performance marketing.
Yes.
Or would you? Yes.
Well, digital marketing is there's organic, right? Organic, which is just I post on Instagram. I say, oh, I have this amazing product, right? And there's performance marketing where I put out an ad. Yes.
Okay, so you're referring to
paid
digital
marketing.
Correct. Yes.
So paid digital marketing. If your product is, a downloadable content, or downloadable product, or your product is, you can consummate onboarding online. You might want to use paid, marketing to acquire users. However, it's not just put out a nice ad and no. You have to have built, there's content marketing. You have to do a lot of content marketing. You have to do a lot of education. You have to show that you understand the need, and you have to position as the solution to the need, right? You have to educate people on how to onboard
as the
solution
to the need. Let's break that down, right? So we have a product, we have a new tool, we have a new gadget. How do I position this product as the solution to the need when I do my digital marketing? What practically am I thinking through to make that happen?
Oh, I like that. So first of all, you're thinking about your users' problems.
Yeah.
And you are showcasing your users' problems. Your user must be able to see themselves
in that ad
or whatever.
Okay, I actually relate with this situation.
Yes.
I'm going through the same pain point.
Correct. That's number one. Number two, you should be able to communicate that ad, that showing up as your user just in time when the user is having that problem. So you need to be able
where
to
you place and
where
when
you place, where and when. You need to understand it.
Somebody has sleep apnea, for example. Don't be advertising to them.
I like that.
Yes.
10 a.m.
They're just waking up.
Yes.
Advertise to them in the evening.
Correct.
When they're thinking about sleep.
Correct.
When they're sort of winding down.
So your ads are running, say, between 7 and midnight.
Yeah.
When
they really can't sleep and the person is on Instagram trying to fall asleep.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and your conversation is not, oh, we help you sleep better. No.
Yeah.
It is, we know that your lack of sleep is ruining your productivity.
At work.
And the person says, yes, I'm always tired in the morning.
Yeah.
This is why you need this product. And then demonstrate that you understand their problems and this is a solution. So number one, put yourself in the customer's shoes and create content that resonates with the problem. Position as a solution. 2, make sure that your ad or whatever content it is you are pushing meets them just in time when they have that problem. For example, I want to be serving, if I have a product that targets mothers, right? I want to push out ads to women who follow pages, for example, that have to do with parenting content.
That's right.
So my target is not just women between the ages of this and that.
Because they may not be mothers.
No, they may not, or they may not even be interested.
Or they may not even be interested.
So they might be mothers but not be interested in, maybe my mom, that's a child's grandmother, is the one taking care of my kids primarily, so I'm not really interested.
Yeah.
So a mark of interest for me is that you follow the following parenting pages. So I want to target you.
And the good thing is a lot of these platforms now allow you to do that.
They allow you to do lookalike audiences. You can even say, show my products to the people that have also looked at this product.
XYZ.
Yes. Yeah. Because I know if you're looking at this product, then
you may have interest in mine as well.
Empathy for the customer such that your content reflects their problems. Position as the solution. 2, deliver your content or ad just in time when they need that. So if it addresses children in school, for example, you might want your ads to target school resumption, periods. If, for example, you run an app for university students, right?
Or how to learn to code, right?
How to learn
learn to code during the summer period when they're on holiday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So just in time, right? 2, you need to educate within your marketing about onboarding. That's how easy it is.
I really love that. So there are several points that you've mentioned. I think you mentioned 3 key points around what to think about
Yes.
as founders consider performance marketing.
Yes.
Could you talk to the audience and just highlight,
Yes, the key things.
those 3 key things?
Yes, correct. So
This camera.
when you are thinking about performance marketing or paid marketing for your business, for your startup, you need to think about 3 key things. 1, you need to create content or ads that show empathy for your user, meaning your ads should help your user see themselves in the ad. So in this case, you are not going straight to the solution. You are talking to the problem first, then the solution. So create a rapport and understanding with them, then talk about the solution. That's what builds curiosity. That's 1. 2, you want your ads or whatever performance marketing channel you're using to hit the user just in time when they need your product. So if your technology or your app or whatever product it is, say for example, speaks to users with sleep problems, you want to serve your ads within the time when they are going through that problem. That's when the need is highest and it's on their minds that I need to solve this. So you'll be serving your ads between, say, 7 p.m. and midnight when they cannot sleep and they're thinking about the impact of the sleeplessness or insomnia on their day the next day. That's when your ad wants to pop up. 3, you want to also include ads or conversations around how easy it is to onboard and use your product, because you want to overcome that mental barrier. So there's a lethargy around change and learning something new. So even though I might be curious about it, I may not be able to muster enough, should I say, energy to want to learn something new this late in the game. So you need to tell me upfront that it takes 3 steps, or onboard in 30 seconds, or onboard in 60 seconds, and make sure it is true. Make sure that value proposition is true. So yes.
Fantastic. This has been such an insightful conversation with you, Jumoke.
I'm glad.
There's a lot that I'm sure our audience can take away from this very short, brief discussion that we've had. There are some questions that we've gotten from our audience.
Okay.
Should we quickly deep dive into
please.
a few of them?
Yes.
Perfect. I like this one quite a bit. It says, we are spreading our go-to-market across ads, partnerships, and offline activations, and nothing feels focused. How do we choose one primary channel without guessing?
Yes, I like that. And that's what we're talking about that a little bit. Yes. So it's not focused because it really isn't focused.
Yeah, you're doing everything.
You're doing everything.
Spray and pray.
Yes. You would eventually do everything, but not at the same time. So again, depending on the kind of product or the kind of solution you are putting out there, you need to decide where to start. So if your product is tech-focused or tech-enabled and adoption of your product is mainly digital, say it's a download on your phone, to use it, you might want to consider paid marketing first as a way to, first power, should I say mass acquisition, right?
Just so boost the awareness.
To boost the awareness. So you might want to start with that. Even with paid digital marketing, you cannot do everything at the same time. You need to still narrow down on one channel.
Because it also gets expensive.
It does get expensive.
You're paying in dollars.
It does get expensive. And CAC in Africa is expensive because these platforms are not necessarily built for our market. So you find that the cost of acquiring a customer or an app download is almost 3 times, the cost of the same app download, say if you were in the US or in another market. So you want to narrow down first. And again, based on your understanding of your ICP, you know where they are. You should know where they are. So if, for example, you know that your ICP, your very narrowed ICP uses Instagram more than TikTok, then maybe you want to serve Instagram ads first and leave TikTok. TikTok might be fancy, but it's not where my people are. Now, if, for example, you know that they are heavier on Google searches, your product, for example, is a type that needs high intent customers. It's not just discovery first, because the social media channels or platforms, you have to discover. Yes, and there's a period of time, there's a frequency of, you need to hit a certain frequency for you to get
takes action.
Exactly.
You're right. I mean, if you look at like Temu ads, they're literally flooding those platforms.
Because they know that you have to see
it
5 to 7 times before you
actually
download the app.
Yeah.
Exactly. So If your product is, one that, discovery is a part of the customer journey, then you might want to use that. But if your product is one that is very just in time and you want high intent users, you might want to focus on
looking
Google
for
Ads.
university in Canada.
Exactly.
That's not what TikTok would tell me.
That's Google.
Yeah.
I'm searching for it.
Yeah.
So high intent, I need a solution immediately. So you want to invest in SEO. SEO is maybe 3 to 6 months you start to see, but Google Ads right away with very relevant keywords, you can launch that. However, if your product is not necessarily more, should I say, digitally heavy, or it's not even B2C, it's more B2B, you are definitely not using paid digital marketing as your first channel. You want to do more partnerships, more offline. When we say offline, don't think TV, radio, and all of that. No, those are more brand awareness and brand building, which is important. But for a business in the GTM phase,
at the early stage,
yes. So you're talking legwork in the places.
You can afford billboards and TV and GTM phase. That's a problem. Either your cash flow.
Yes,
your
you are going to run out of cash.
Something is clearly off
really quickly. So you want to invest in a lot of actual legwork.
Yeah.
Founders cannot shy away from putting on jeans and sneakers.
The messy work.
The messy work. And putting on sunscreen. And just being in the sun all day, talking to people and getting actual. And there's this exhilaration that comes from just knowing. And
I can do it. Like I can actually do every single job in this.
Correct.
Business.
So that when your business starts to scale, don't tell me that.
Don't tell me that. You go out to the market.
Yeah, so that offline might actually be your thing, especially if it's B2B. I tell B2B founders, start offline. Go to sit in the offices of your potential user.
Ask questions.
Exactly, ask questions. Insert yourself into their processes. Understand how they actually do things. So that might be, your first channel. It might be multiplying your efforts by having agents who are trained to spot the things that you are looking out for as well, and just, building your understanding or your on-ground knowledge, of your users from that. So depending on what your solution is.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So you really have to know what your product is, what you're selling.
Correct.
Think about the value prop of those different platforms and then sort of match.
Yes.
Right. Match your offering to what the value prop for those platforms.
And when you found success, you can then layer on
then
that.
Expand.
So if, for example, you did offline and you've done, you've gone into the market, the product is now sticky, they like it, you've saturated the market, you can now layer digital on that to base, because now you're sure you have a product that's either on the way to PMF, product market fit, or they're already.
So then you can then expand.
Yes, correct.
Fantastic. Okay. All right. So this next question says, our dashboards look good. Clicks, impressions, even trials, but revenue is lagging. So they are coming, they are not paying. Which GTM metrics actually tell us whether our strategy is working or not?
Oh, I love that. So I love that because there's 3 parts of user acquisition, customer acquisition. There is the actual acquisition.
Yes.
So there's awareness first. I saw the ads. I actually went on the website. I'm aware of it, Then there is the I subscribed. If it involves creating an account, for example, I've created an account. That's still not a user. That's just someone who's created an account, right? Then there is so that's step number 2. Step number 3, where you have a user, is I've actually paid. I have performed the payment action. Lola, there's a very short window between that you need to be able to capture. Awareness to download is even okay.
It's okay, yeah.
But you see that download to pay,
get them to pay.
Or you need to drive them in a very short funnel. I'm talking 3 to 5 days. Because the chances of downloading after 5 days and not using after that 5 days.
You just forget about the app.
Oh, it becomes higher, almost 70% drop-offs. If you are not able to capture them within that 3 to 5 days they downloaded the app. In fact, what you want to do is to have them download and use within the first 24 to 48 hours immediately. So the problem is that your GTM does not have an activation plan. That's what activation is.
There could even be an issue with the product itself, right? Where they're having issues paying.
Yes.
Right? Or
which is part of the activation plan. Yes. So it could be that, the problem is that after I've downloaded, I don't know what next to do.
Yeah.
The onboarding process
it's
is not clear to me.
Yes.
I don't know where to go.
So you think that you built it,
Yes,
everything is working,
and it's very simple.
and
of course it's simple
straightforward, but
because it's your product.
Yes, we spend months and months and day and night.
So you don't have an activation plan that babies them or handholds them from downloading or creating an account to actually using it. So using it meaning paying for something. So you need to fix whatever is broken. Either that plan does not exist or it exists, but you are not, there are kinks in it that you've not noticed. So it could be that. So that window is what needs to be fixed.
Key.
The activation plan.
Fantastic. Okay, there are a couple more, but we'll take one. Hi, Lola. We are operating in a market where trust is built face-to-face, but our product is digital. When should founders bring in agents or offline distribution, and how early is too early? And I actually wonder, do you need a digital product if your market is a face-to-face?
That's what I was gonna. That's what I was gonna ask that question as well. I know when the question said how early is too early. From zero. There's no such thing. I'm glad that you already know that trust is held offline.
Yes,
there is no reason why you should be talking to your customers or your users or trying to onboard them online.
Yes.
No. If you know they need to see you, they need to feel you, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and your digital really just becomes a place for you to scale the trust you've already built offline, because now you have early adopters. You now have user stories that
you can now put on your digital
that become social proof that you put on your social platform, because now you know that your biggest barrier to entry and penetration is trust.
Yeah.
And how do you build that? It's face to face.
Yeah.
You know,
so this is an easy one, right? So how early is early? From day zero.
From day zero. In fact, that's what your GTM should be about.
Yes,
trust building.
That you're talking to your customers face to face.
Correct.
Amazing. This has been a great conversation. Thank you so much, Olajumoke, for all those insights.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much to our audience for sticking around. We hope this session was useful for you. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Please follow us on our social media platforms. You can send us questions on our website. If you go to the website, www.periscope.media, scroll down, you see a section, like a Slido section, where you can add questions. Please reach out to us with all those questions. We'd love to take them on subsequent episodes. Follow us on LinkedIn, TikTok, periscope.podcast, Twitter @perismedia, and Instagram, periscope.podcast. Okay, looking forward to hearing more from you, and thanks so much for your time.